Anyone else? Any questions?
So,
Yeah, no.
so are you saying you'll prepare like this 3-year forecast, and then it's up to us to kind of plop? Are the other things though we need to get ready beside waiting till January for the capital is to go back and revisit, as you said, do you want to lower some fees? Is that the goal? Do
or
you
class
wanna,
size,
or is that something that we should try to accomplish? Is that what we're expected to before the other items come up? I just want to. We want to get those pieces done to clear. Like there were some projects mentioned last night. Are those the little things that you're saying have ready so you could all plop them down once we have the other things, so it could go out in January or February?
Well, I think that we should not speak to prioritizing building projects until we get this life safety report back.
Right.
That's incredibly important.
And is that the board? That's the
We
board,
can do some
right?
little
And that's
projects
where I'm
where-
getting a little balanced
Yeah,
off
and that would
too.
be where the board prioritizes
Okay.
its funding. There's been some wonderful projects that volunteers and grant money has paid for, and we need to continue to look for those synergies. But that's completely separate from this process. So I think, and like Dr. Schilling was saying, there are state funds that we are going to apply for.
matching.
With matching grants that we will need to know, right? And fortunately, it's going to be a good timing because we'll have our life safety plan back, and then we'll be applying for those matching grants, and it'll directly point to a very critical need in the life safety study. So whether it's chillers, boilers, some sort of infrastructure that, we need, I think that's going to be our number one priority with the state.
In addition to that, like Dr. Schilling said, the CBA that was agreed upon was only a 1-year contractual agreement. So negotiations for that are going to start fairly soon, I would anticipate.
This month, actually.
Yeah.
Our initial conversations. Yeah.
So in conjunction with the life safety study and the negotiations, I think those are the top two things that are coming in right now
up. Yeah.
that are probably on the board's table, now.
I think to Patty's point, those are two isolated expenses, but you can prepare a 3 to 5 year forecast with two holes being how much are we going to allocate to CapEx, how much are we going to allocate.
Absolutely.
So I think there's stuff that can be done before those decisions are made by the board.
Absolutely.
In your forecast, will you have, the word was used, and I think in developing forecasts is important trend. So looking at the historical 3 years, here's what's happened with, pick any line here on this, whether it's property taxes, pupil activities, here's a trend in the 3 years. Do we want to continue that trend? Do we see it flat? At what level do you forecast, I guess, and how much do you include historical as a benchmark?
Property taxes and state aid and things like that have trends.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the deficit reduction, the trends are pretty useless because we went from like almost no fees to like a lot of fees. So it's got to flatten off or it's got to go down. So that's a different I think a different piece. I think that I can give you the data that of what I project the CPI to be for the next 5 years. I can show you the CPI for the last 5 years. I'm key indicators, in other words. I can give you those for sure.
Even with fees, right? So you look at fees, you say 3 years ago it was X, it increased 30%.
Oh, we can do that.
And then you see it,
Sure.
and you say, all right, well, where do we want this to be? Do we want it to go down 30% and go back to where it was 3 years ago? I feel seeing the historical data helps maybe look at one-time things that you want to back off of or sets the trend. Is this going to continue like Tom and
I think to help you, and this is what I was trying to get at before, if I went back to like, I want to say 16, 17 or something like that, and I showed you all the stuff that we took out in the deficit reduction and all the fees we put in, that explains the variance between then and now. Otherwise, it would have just been a steady line up. And you probably don't have a handle on all the stuff that happened. And because some of those have to be taken into consideration with the program, like fees. yeah, they went way up, but one of the big fees was for full day kindergarten. And people want full day kindergarten, so do we keep that fee or do we eliminate it and now we make it free again? So, but it goes with something, whereas the other ones like general curriculum, and they're basically our costs. So those are decisions you make. But I can give you a whole bunch of, I can start with a bunch of background information, and then you can tell me if you need more. Or
At what level is the budget? Is it, so looking at this statement of government funds here, is it by local sources, state sources, total revenues? At what level do you budget?
Our detailed budget is 5 elements.
Okay.
The board report that I designed for monthly reporting is at 2, but it's the best 2. It's by fund and by individual objects. So for example, in that report it'll have a total for the budget for all administration and what we spent. All administrative stipends, what we spent, all clerical, what we spent, all teachers, what we spent, all aides, support staff. In other words, every category in there, legal, praise. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can see exactly, and it's and the most important thing about the report is it's useless if it's not easy to read. And so I did it that way because you can read right across and see all those totals, and then from year to year you can compare. Once we get to next year, you'll be able to say, oh, we've spent 25% on clerical salaries, and this year we're spending 32% already. So, but that's what that is going to be, and then all the way through by fund. And that's the same information that we aggregate to do the financial projections. We break it down a little finer for revenue because property taxes is so big, and the evidence-based funding is so big. But yeah, you'll have that level of detail, so you'll see exactly what we budgeted for totals for all that across the district, and you'll see exactly what we spent year to date. Should be kind of eye-opening, because the old reports were all by location, and so you'd have to look 5 different places and total, which was hard.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Good to know.
All right. Anything else from anybody? Are we all?
What was STR's last life safety study?
I'm sorry?
What was STR's last life?
They were not our architects the last time we did a life safety study. We had different architects 10 years ago. It's 10 years
An
old.
STR back when they did surveys with that
Trade
was that.
centers and they
2009 or something like that.
It would have been about 10 years ago.
So what was
Right.
it was
Yeah.
10 years ago.
It's a 10-year, so it'd be around 2009.
Well, yeah, I think
Roughly,
it actually
somewhere
came
in
out
there.
Was it the person
2010,
STR did it because
yeah.
they were part
It
of
was
the
Concept
No.
3 or something.
Aspect
Concept
like that.
3 is right.
Yeah,
that's
Concept
right.
3 was our architects back then. So,
I do have just a quick question. As far as like some of the law changes and things like that, is that affecting like law changes and tax changes? Like one of them being the cannabis law change in Illinois. Does that like affect anything when it comes to educational funding or projections or anything like that, or is that something completely separate?
That would only affect how much the state could put in the pot to distribute to schools in general. That doesn't help us individually.
unless people go out and buy property after getting high, that would be nice. And then pay higher tax.
Yeah, and you know, they had mentioned something about new property. Really, there's been very little new property except for, and I don't even remember what year it was. You guys had a new big box built or something, like a Best Buy or Target or something 5 or 6 years ago or something, I think, in the district somewhere. That was the last. Huh?
The Target.
Huh?
5, 6 years ago?
Target, that was
Target
it. That was probably the biggest new.
That was 5, 6 years ago?
15.
Way
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Target's been there for.
Portillo's, but that's not in our
Is
district.
Kmart
You know.
in our
Huh?
district?
Yes.
Well, it's
Kmart is in our
empty.
district, so.
Yeah,
We'll
because
see
if they
what
build
happens with
condos
that
there or something, that would help out.
Yeah.
Like if they put residential.
Condos, yeah, that would help, yeah.
But it doesn't help them. Target's lawyers contest how much. I was saying the Kmart if they. 'cause
Well,
I heard.
I need to correct that. condos would only help if there were no kids.
Senior
Right.
living.
Right.
If you have 10
Senior
kids
living.
and like 20
There you
condoms, then it's hurting, okay? 'Cause then-
55 and over. Yeah. I think so. That'd be very.
Okay.
Alright, all set. So I need a motion to adjourn the finance committee meeting at 8:37 PM.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Alright, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Meeting adjourned.